I understood. Your question will be then how he could be feminist. Is it? Okay. What else?
Yesterday you mentioned that guardian class consists of only the ruling class. Yesterday you mentioned that guardian class consists of only the ruling class.
No, it's not only the ruling class. There are few books we talk about. It includes both of the classes. That has been used in loose term. So even you can use it for the one class also, or even for the soldier class as well as ruler class. Let me tell you, such kind of things has been written by writers itself. When we read Hobbes, you'll find out Hobbes has used many things in a different way at different time. Okay, what else? Yeah. Eugenics. He was talking about eugenics. No. Okay. Actually, he is entering into the psychoanalysis part better, where he is talking about all the best men and all the best women will be together. Now, his argument is mainly on this line basically, that is also going to be a natural choice. I mean, point is that the choice is involved. So, if it has been asked to a man or a woman about their choices, so obviously they will demand for the best one. So, in this sense it has been written that all the best men and all the best women will be together. So, it is going to create a superior race. This is his idea of the eugenics. I clarified this group marriages, it simply means partnership. It is not the formal marriages. It is not the formal marriages that everyone is getting married to everyone. It is not like that. Group marriages in terms of that group partners. I mean, they are allowed. They are allowed to go for multiple partners. This is what the meaning is.
So God stops a man of appetite from being corrupt.
Okay. Now, the first question is that what type of corruption will be for those in the appetite class basically.
Plato defines appetite in a very narrow manner for money and all. I think a man with appetite can have appetite for anything, for power, for quality, anything. So what stops him from crossing?
Okay, now I understood. Now, Plato's idea is mainly the first two class, which is mainly handling the security and state, if they are not corrupt, it is almost impossible for basically rest of the people to be corrupt basically. What they can do when you are saying the corruption, that could be in their personal life and that could be related to their personal conduct, but when it comes to the public life, it is not possible. I am just giving example. Suppose there is a trader and he want to go for malpractices. It is technically not possible because the rules and regulation and implementation is completely in the hand of ruler class, and this is what the nature of corruption is here. But if the first two classes is corrupt, then definitely all classes can utilize that system for being corrupt. So, that is why he is more focused. He is not talking, why he is not talking about any restrictions over the third class, because his main argument is like they are more into the appetite and desires. So, they should have a full horizon, they should be allowed to go for whatever the desire they are looking forward to fulfill it. But in terms of administration, in terms of rule, there should not be any glitches, there should not be any change for them. Okay.
In education theory, identification of natural traits and to train them. What they train if they are exemplar in one X process. If they trained in same process or all the different.
No. What I was saying yesterday also, like suppose with the education they are first targeted to identify one having what natural trait. Suppose it has been identified. Now, even for the identification and training, first they identify and they start the training together. I guess all the training, first training will be equally available to everyone, and you might find that it is related to the physical toughness, it will be related to the mental health, this is all. So, this is required for all three classes. Now, after a level there will be exam. Those who fail to qualify, it is not like now simply it will be decided they are going to the agricultural class, producerial class, and there will be a separate training for them, that is a separate training module, that is a general education system. Now they will be trained in their respective trade, maybe about the business knowledge, about the agricultural practices, about how could go for the best agricultural thing. This will be trained separately, and this is the same thing for both of the classes. Conducting examination to identify, separating basically, okay, you belong to this, and the training will start. The training will continue further. It is not going to be end immediately once they fail to qualify exam. That will be expertise training, although this is not as longer as it is for the philosopher class. You might have read that after the end there will be 5-year special philosophical classes, or you can say knowledge for them. In a similar way, it is available for every class. It is available for every class. So they will become expert of that particular area, whatever they are leading in basically. Yes.
Sir, according to Pluto, sir, for a state, there must be a one philosopher king or more than one philosopher king.
Normally, he is trying to say that there will be one philosopher king, but definitely there will be rest of the you can say ministers and administrators, those who are going to help him. But he is technically talking about only one philosopher king, one philosopher king.
Sir, so there can be many virtuous people. So how he is going to select that this will be the king?
I mean, this is what the training is there now. When they decide, like one line has been written in your notes also, like he'll identify only few one, all those belong to that class, he'll identify few one, those who will be trained in the philosophy, and those who are trained in the philosophy, among them then again he identified who is going to become a philosopher. He also go for, I mean, look, technically his education of theory is having a separate book, and here we are reading the education of theory in a just one pages. So technically I cannot explain each and every schemes what he is talking, otherwise he talk about music, even in his music divide it in 12 parts, and he talk about what will be the allotted time for the music for every classes. And even in physical training he talk about when the training to the agricultural class, physical training, what will be module for them, although they are getting trained. Suppose there is a one instance he talk about, there will be 20 modules for the physical training, but all module is not necessary to complete for by everyone. He says for agricultural or producer class may be allowed to go for some little bit, the other was allowed to go for more than, and maybe the other class might go for the entire one. So there are a lot of small differences are there. Here we have to just know this, after the training of the philosophy, few of them will be chosen as a minister, one will be as a philosopher king, and rest of the people are going to join their administration. So this is a complete class, there is a complete class.
So why he calls a class of like ruling class, or calls a person like a philosopher king, when although in reality they are all just administrators? Isn't he creating a hegemony, like it's a wrong thing? It's a wrong.
No, what your question is?
I mean to say sir, ये जैसे ruling class भी define करता है,
अंग्रेजी में भी बोल सकते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
philosopher king भी बोलता है, तो मुझे प्रॉब्लम होती है.
Okay, okay.
तो ये बोलते हैं कि फिर भी उन्हें किंग और रूलिंग क्लास बोलता है, तो सर ये अपने आप में कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन नहीं है सेटिस्फैक्शन देने में, जबकि वो है एक्चुअली एक सिर्फ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर.
Actually, look, okay. Now, when he is saying ruling class, he is saying ruling class, and he is accommodating a range of the officer in it, technically, and minister in it basically. So you want to say कि ruling class should be used only for the philosopher king, it should not be for the rest of the people.
I don't think कि सर, मुझे तो एक नहीं लगता कि उसे philosopher king ही बोलना चाहिए. You can call him chief administrator, philosopher.
Okay.
Why are you calling him king when he doesn't have the absolute
Look,
power of?
I mean, it's really difficult for me to change the names and nomenclature what Plato has given basically. नहीं, हम लोग टेक्निकल ग्राउंड्स पे क्रिटिसाइज करेंगे. वन मोर थिंग, व्हेन वी आर criticizing Plato or even Aristotle will criticize them on technical grounds considering their own time. If you say that this system is not a democratic system and democratic system is the best system, this is not the criticism of the Plato. This is a modern democratic system we say. For him, democratic system was entirely different. So, definitely we will criticize Plato, but the criticism should be on technical grounds and it should be in a proper context. You cannot use modern things and criticize Plato. This is otherwise it won't be a valid criticism, basically it will be just a superficial criticism. Any other technical question related to his theory? Anything here? Chaliye. Now, we have seen ideal state, after to establish ideal state he talked about justice. Then in order to have a effective justice he talked about his theory of education and he used two restrictions to stop them to become corrupt, that is communism. Communism of property and family or communism of property and wives. Now, in general UPSC asks question from ideal state, they ask question from justice part, there could be a question explaining the education and there could be a question related to the communism. First tell me, conceptually everybody is clear, ideal state, justice, theory of education and communism of property and family. Now, looking into the Plato's thinking, lot of commentary has been made on Plato. Abhi I'll come to the justice part also, lot of commentary has been made. I'll address first commentary, like he was the one in his entire time that he did not differentiated on the basis of gender, as when he is talking about a division of the classes, he did not put any restriction, he did not put any restriction basically, women cannot participate in either of the class. Even women can be part of the guardian class, they could be part of, I would say, ruler class, they could be part of soldier class and they could be part of the producer class. Now, few of the scholars believe that this is not true to say him basically first feminist. Okay. Now, first is this, first commentary is this, Plato is considered to be first feminist. Now, if I ask on what basis he is considered to be first feminist, first is that, first important point that men and women both have equal opportunity to be part of any of the classes. Unlike in many societies of the time, they are not even allowed to be part of the ruler class, they are not allowed to be joining forces or even in part of the soldier class. Even their position in the producer class or in family were also like a subordinate position. Now, considering this fact, again we are taking the context, considering this fact or era where this much of subjugation of women was there, their status was that much low in the society, he was the one, I mean he was the one who did not discriminate about men and women by joining any of the classes. Now, here there is a two argument. Argument number one, it says it is accidentally he failed to mention basically that women should not be, or the term what he has used, it did not include women. So, it is the problem of his writing rather than like he was having some intention not to include them. So, it was argument like generally he meant only men. generally he meant only men. And in this support, what you said, the statement, like a statement is there that he is feeling proud basically not to be women. He is saying he is a Greek, he is not a barbarian, he is a master, he is not a slave, he is a man, he is not a woman, and above all he is in the era of the Socrates. So, from this instant, few of the experts says basically कि actually he is not a feminist, they use the word, he is an accidental feminist. He is not the feminist, he is actually accidental feminist basically, and he is not a willingly feminist. It was just the errors of the writing that he did not excluded women to be part of that. This is one argument against him. Now, iska bhi argument aapko likhna. You have to write another argument criticizing this idea. Now, it is hard to believe that he made such a big mistake. The reason being is that in every walk of life, the visible condition of the women, was at the lower state of the society. It is not something that it is a remote idea. It was very much visible. It was very much visible, and starting from Plato's own house or neighborhood, everywhere it was there. So, it is hard to believe that he was actually ignoring such a big fact. Got my point? So, when now three arguments we have written here. The first argument is he is the first feminist. He is the first feminist. Against this argument, he was not a feminist, he was actually accidental feminist, quoting the same quote. Then again you go for criticizing the similar idea. So, first, if we have to write first feminist, this is one logic. Second logic, on what basis we say he is a first feminist? Apart from this, he make it mandatory of women consent to being with men. It is a complete equal choice. It is not something that they will be forced to go with. It is a complete consent based togetherness. Third important point, in his theory of education, all men and women are all kids, either male or female or boy or girl, are allowed to take education is sponsored by state. So, it is not the fault at one place. If we see he made it like it was his mistake only, or he failed to notice it, it cannot be on every and each places. So, even when his theory of education, which was a separate one, even in theory of education, he did not discriminate between men and women. In fact, he has written an entire chapter opposing on commercial education of the time. Okay, what happened? In Greek at that time, prevailing time, there was a commercial education. Only few people who can afford and those who need to be trained, they are only allowed to access the education, because it was not a state sponsored education. So, technically everyone was not in position to afford. Second one, they are not holding the utility of that education too, because even by using your money you get the education, but if you won't be incorporated, there was no meaning at all. So, he opposed such kind of education system and proposed a new model. There should be state sponsored education, and that ranges from primary to the higher education. You can say it is not only the elementary education, even education to the philosopher king up to the after 35 age, it should be also sponsored by state. Even specialized training or education, it should be sponsored by state. So, this is a quite a clear idea that he is looking for the education for men and women both, One more thing, at the time of the Plato, when you have to give the logic, he is considered to be the first one. This is first logic, this is second logic, this is third one. At the time of Plato, slavery system is a very much common, and you can say it was a popular practice. The entire economy of the time, family and economy, it was dependent on slave. In his writing, even he did not discriminate between master and slave, although that statement says he is happy to born as a master, not as a slave. So, technically he is not even discriminating slaves, and the status of women was equal to slave, which was properly narrated by Aristotle after Plato. So, what I am trying to say here, the next thinker is considering women equal to slave, and it was a popular notion at that time. So, even in such condition where society is highly stratified, it is not only, I mean, I would say there were free men, there were free men. Apart from that, there were slaves, and there was separate condition for women. And apart from this, there was one more category of foreigners. Foreigners and residents or resident. This was the 5 category at the time of the Plato. I repeat my word. There was a five category. There were free men, there were slave, there were women, there were foreigners, and there were resident. Resident are those people who reside in Greek, but they were not the citizens. Citizenship was allotted only to the free men, because they were quite involved in the politics. You will find this is thing very clear in Aristotelian thinking. Now, looking into the writing of the Aristotle, it is really hard to believe that he ignored such a stratification and treated his class in terms of equality. So, again it is hard to believe that he was ignoring. So, you can simply give the write a new logic. Like Greek society was highly stratified, in which women were having lowest strata. In such society, he did not make any special reference of the women. That simply reflects that he was treating women equal or at par to the men. So, technically we call him first feminist. Technically we call him first feminist. So, if there is a commentary to write, Plato is a first feminist. So, first line of the argument will be the yes, but first line of the argument will be yes, he is a first feminist, and you will give 4 arguments. On that basis, we consider Plato as a first feminist. Now, then you will write it, no, there are certain scholars who consider him as a accidental feminist. Accidental feminist. It was error in his writing. The term, I mean, in his writing, he basically generalized men only, and in general terms he used it for men and women, but in reality he was referring only to men. He was referring only to men. Then again you will criticize the similar idea, and then you will talk about it is impossible to see that he made such a big error, because this stratification was quite hard. This stratification was quite prevalent in every walk of life. So, it seems to be difficult. Person like Plato, who was a keen observer, ignored such important facts. Now, this is the 3 important format. I am just making few questions here. The 4th point say the society was highly stratified, where women position was at the lowest eta. So, it is difficult to believe that he ignored such an important fact which is visible in daily life, and provided equal status to men and women. Now, when you have to write simple Plato as a first feminist, this 4 argument, maybe you can talk about his criticism that he is a accidental feminist using the similar quote. If they are talking about examine, if they are talking about examine Plato as first feminist, if this question is there, examine Plato as a first feminist. So, the term examine is there, then your writing style will be little bit different. You will write it, okay, he is considered to be first feminist on the basis of these facts. But at the same time, there are certain evidences which says that he was not feminist, by choice or by intention. That is why few of the scholars called him accidental feminist. And then you give the statement, like this statement reflects that he is not at all a feminist. And then you will examine the idea ki whether we should say him feminist or not. Here a kind of judgmental requirement is there. So, as a conclusion part, you will simply talk about using some specific jargons like Plato was great scholar of his time, he was a keen observer, he is a great scholar, he is a keen observer, he was very much introduced to the entire system, he was getting prepared to be in the politics. This is a very important fact. He was getting prepared to be in the politics. So, in such a condition, it is difficult to believe that he was unaware of the repercussions of treating men and women basically. So, it is hard to believe that it is an error from the Plato side. It is a well intentional writing where he treated men and women equal. Do not forget to use these key terms, like why we believe that he is not at all an accidental feminist. He is typically first feminist. Clear when you talk about. Now, if they ask critical examine, when we talk critical examine, now the critical examine will have two more points. First, so definitely will come, look, he made a statement where he is feeling proud to be a man. So, it seems to be that by mistake he has written, it is just articulation. Then you simply talk about, although he is considered as a first feminist, but it was more or less in terms of philosophical thinking rather than in terms of action, Apart from such references, nothing specific has been done by Plato regarding the emancipation of women. In the entire you can say existing system, he never talks about what measures should be taken basically. So, in that sense, we cannot consider him as a real feminist. And his thoughts was, regarding being a feminist was basically analyzed one. It is not that is having the core idea, it is not the core idea which is mentioned in his book. So, it is analyst who dig deep into his writing, then only they identify, look, he is a feminist. Otherwise, this is not a visible writing, this is not a visible fact. When they are asking about critical, examine the same thing. So, this question could be asked in many format. Is it clear? Any doubt related to this? No, we will simply, if they are talking about critical examination, you simply talk about what the as he is considered to be accidental feminist.
So, what is the difference between examiner and critical examiner?
Look, when you talk about examine, so you talk about the positive side also, negative side also, and then you talk about what it real is. When it comes to be critical examine, then you need to highlight basically critical points of that one, and your judgment or you can conclusion is having a tilt towards the criticism. That is the critical examination part. In examination, it is like a fair one, positive, negative, and you find out, okay, this is good, this is bad. So, it is a fair one, but when it comes to critical examine, your way of writing should be, and if you can write 2-3 commentaries criticizing him, that will be the best for the critical examination part. What? It is given in the notebook basically. The last page mein you will find this commentary has been given. This commentary is mainly related with like he is actually saying, referring to the God basically and feeling proud that I am a Greek, not a barbarian. आपको जो दिमाग में याद रखना है, Greek, not a barbarian, master, not a slave, men, not a woman, but above all in the era of or in the age of Socrates. This is what the statement is. Yeah. When you are writing in your answer sheet, commentary should be exactly the way it has been said. You cannot change. If you are writing it in your own words, you cannot ever use double inverted comma. You can analyze the statement. It will be in that form if you are writing in a conclusive form. So you cannot use these words. This is what he said. Then you will say this is what he explained, concluded. Such kind of words will be there. It is not necessary. It depends on the question basically. In critical examination, when you are writing, it is required. Look, I guess I was just waiting. Let me finish few more topics. Then I will give you a lot of examples and make you write. In fact, I will make you write few answers. I will dictate few answers so you can understand basically. Yes. Okay. Now, apart from calling him a first feminist, when it comes to his theorem of justice, okay, please tell me, is there any other conclusion you can draw? Any other conclusion you can draw out of his theorem of justice using some modern political terms? Using some modern political terms. Look, these are very popular terms in political science. There is other way of writing. Whenever you write an answer, at least look these terms, if possible, you can use while writing. Now, if to examine Plato's theory of justice, so can we believe that he was looking forward for a egalitarian society? Can we say? No, we cannot say he was looking forward a egalitarian society. Can we say that he was looking for a system where there is a interdependence? He was looking for a system where the interdependence of the classes was there. Yes, he was looking for the interdependence of the classes. Can we say this? He was not looking forward for a hierarchical society. Can we say he was not looking for a hierarchical society? Just making some few clarification. When you say hierarchy, so on what basis hierarchy is made? There is a superiority and inferiority. There is a more power and there is a less power. Here he is not talking about the hierarchical. Few scholars criticize him as a hierarchical, but actually he was not talking about the hierarchy. He was talking about the coordination of the three classes. It was a kind of parallel coordination. Okay, I will say in this one, as the philosopher class, as the rural class has the option or has to make policy and programs for the rest of the people. At the same time, security was completely controlled and was in the hand of the soldiers class, and the last class was feeding them. So, technically there was a high interdependence, there was not something what we say hierarchical. I explained it earlier also. Few scholars criticized him by saying that actually he created a system of hierarchy, but actually because they have a primary assumption that the work or function of a ruler holds the higher category of the function than the soldier, and function of the soldier or role of soldier is a higher than the role of producer. But he was not looking at all these things in terms of their hierarchy. He was more looking in terms of expertise and specialization. Can we say this? He was the one who want specialization in the functioning of the state. Can we say this? He was the one who was looking forward for specialization in the functioning of the state. So, technically it was coordination and interdependence. Coordination and interdependence of the classes. Coordination and interdependence of the classes. So, here you will talk about, use a term that he was not discriminating, there is no discrimination, he was not discriminating among the classes, and here there was no discrimination on the basis of gender too. There was no discrimination among the classes, at the same time there was no discrimination on the basis of gender. In a similarly you can talk about there was specialization and expertise. There was specialization and expertise of the functions of state, specialization and expertise of the function of the state. So, this is what we can say some specific feature. अब add on कर रहा हूँ मैं इसी में. It is a typical one, and this is a debate whether laws are applicable over philosopher king or not. Whether the philosopher king would be under the laws or not, will be subject of the laws or not. Okay, only one important point, that he is above law. He is above law. Why he is above law? Because the person who is becoming a philosopher knowledge, a philosopher king, he is exposed to the knowledge, and it is because of that. So, actually his orders are basically whatever the rules regulation he himself making is the law basically. So, he cannot be under the law. If I say that philosopher king cannot make mistake, if I say philosopher king cannot make mistake, this is true. हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे. From here onwards, acquisition over the Plato is that he was the first fascist too, because when he say king cannot do wrong, where he says that philosopher king is always correct, philosopher king is always true. In that sense, you simply say he is a fascist one. So, one more important feature of this is all technically features of theorem of justice, features of theorem of justice. So, justice where it is the philosopher king, justice is where the philosopher king is above the law, and whatever the law he has made, rest of the people except philosopher king, even rest of the people who are a part of the ruler class or soldier class or agriculture, they all are under the laws, they all are under the laws, and he was the one who is beyond the law. He is the one who is beyond the law. Then again, a famous statement is that justice cannot be established until unless it is states are ruled by philosopher king. Suppose there is a statement, justice cannot be delivered until and unless it is states are ruled by philosopher king. Now tell me, what is the context of this statement? What is the context of this statement? Yes, मैं पहली क्लास से यही सबसे पहले क्लियर किया था. Why he is talking about the philosopher king should rule? Yes, simple. It should be because the philosopher king is holding the knowledge, philosopher king is a virtuous one. Otherwise, the problem of the state of the time is this only, because it is ruled by such people who are not holding the knowledge, that led to the hanging or killing of the Socrates basically. This is the thing. That is why he is talking about, the statement has been given कि without philosopher king, the entire world is bound to face such kind of incidences. As this philosopher king is holding the knowledge, so technically the state is bound to deliver justice.
So can we say that he is not above the law, but in a way he is above the law because he will never disobey the law he has created because he is the most knowledgeable and most.
Actually, this is the real reason that he himself is making law, so there is no need not to be that he should be under the law basically. Or making him under the law, that it is you are searching the law from some the other source, and you are believing that there is a chance of diversion to the philosopher king. That is why law is required basically to check him. So we cannot go on this line, because any philosopher king and rest of the people in their respective classes, they are bound to perform as per their character, as per their natural traits. And philosopher king is mainly the one who is, you can say, who has been trained to rule basically. So technically his knowledge is the basis of rule. His knowledge is the basis of rule. This is what his theorem of justice. No, he is actually providing justice in both of the term. He is providing justice in terms of individual also, and he is providing justice in terms of society also. Now, how come it is? In individual term, you are in position to excel in the natural trait. So, you did justice to yourself. You are in position to excel in your own natural trait. So, you did justice to yourself, and with this trait the entire society is getting the best services, and there is a coordination, of every, there is a interdependency. The entire society is getting benefit of expertise character of all the classes. So, technically you are contributing or you are creating societal justice also. I mean, like being a member of society, I am not deserving a substandard services, or actually I am getting the best services because I am providing the best service. So, his idea of the societal justice, is like performing the duty the way they have been trained, or whatever the natural trait they have. This is how his theorem of justice is delivering, justice on both of the level, individual level as well as on the society level. No, redistributive is Aristotelian redistributive justice. Aristotle is known for his redistributive justice. It is not the Plato. It is clear cut. I mean, if you are talking about distribution of the work you are talking about. So, okay, I am just making some clarification. When you say distributive justice, This distributive justice is related with the idea ki who should get what, and when it comes to what, it means that it is glory, pride, financial things, or you can say wealth, important post, then we say ki there is a principle to divide. It calls distributive or redistributive justice. His purpose of the justice was not providing to someone or to the group. His purpose of the justice was basically that everyone should get the best of the services, and it will lead to the establishment of the ideal state. So, that is why we do not consider Platonic justice as a distributive justice, but we specifically say Aristotelian justice as a distributive justice. But he delivered justice on the both of the level, individual level as well as societal level. Chaliye. What is discretionary? He is completely discretionary, because discretion is what? Using your own wisdom. So, he is trained for using his wisdom basically, he is knowledgeful. That is why he can do anything or release any order what he likes to. So, there is nothing like discretionary. I mean, his entire action is based on his own wisdom. Look, I guess, I mean, every time we are getting confused, because we try to think and compare with the modern ideas. That is the real problem. When you talk about what is knowledge, what is the parameter of the knowledge, we have studied in very first class that when you talk about the knowledge is basically the reality where people move to on that level after gaining knowledge, or you can say, I mean, after practicing. So, here there is no criteria of knowledge. We are accepting this line as he has been trained. You cannot conduct an exam, okay, whether the philosopher king is having a knowledge or not. If you are conducting the exam, then it seems to be you are more knowledgeful than the philosopher king. So, technically there will be no check. He is complete in itself. Whatever he will say, it is going to be final words, because we are believing this one, he can make no mistake. It is something just to compare. When we talk about if it is the God's order, then it is the final order, because we do not question. This is the same thing he is talking about, because the philosopher king is having the highest knowledge. So, there is a no check over him. That is why I am saying his criticism was as a first fastest basically. Again and again I am saying, do not compare these thinkers and their ideas. You see how the modern ideas get evolved from the ideas of these thinkers. You see the things in that way. See the things in form of evolution. We thank to the Plato, because he was the one, he introduced all the new ideas of his time, and the modern society is built up on the basis of those ideas. Maybe the context continue to revise and change, and the format is very much different, but he was the one who initiated. So, when you are looking forward him, so you cannot say now the modern system is best or better than the Plato system. Definitely you can say, and but on what basis you build the modern system? He was the one who talked about equality, he was the one who has given the principle of expertise, he was the one who talked about the justice. I mean, this all thing has been given by him only, and now we are excelling in that direction only. Philosopher king is again the same thing. How philosopher king will misuse his power? If someone is perfect, I mean, if someone is perfect, then how he will misuse his power? Again, we are thinking in check and balances like of the modern system. Yes. Okay. I mean, look, British king was later on. The Plato was even earlier that. Okay. Yes, just to clarity. What's the difference between Plato and Aristotle? Plato was just different from the Aristotle in terms of rule of a person and a rule of a law, although we credit Dicey who has given the idea of the rule of law, but in reality he was the one, I mean I would say Aristotle was the one who has given this idea ki look, person, as you ask this question, person can be corrupt at any point of time. So, let us make a system in such a way even the most corrupt person should work as per the standard. The entire modern philosophy is based on that. When you talk about rule of law, then what you do? You talk irrespective of the conduct and character of a person. You just recruited, rules regulation is there, does not matter what you like, does not matter what you do, you have to follow rules and regulation. That is the difference. He was looking forward to train people to be good, and he was looking forward to make laws that all good and bad people can work together irrespective of their personal characteristics. That was the great difference. An interesting part is that Plato in his last stage written a new book, Laws, and in Laws only he has completely changed this system. But unfortunately UPSC rarely ask about this one. There is a one question related to that one, like Aristotle's ideal state is a sub-ideal state of Plato, because Plato's ideal state is this, Plato's sub-ideal state is the state that is governed by law. हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे, that is sub-ideal state. So, technically in this philosopher king can do no wrong. But except the philosopher king, those who are trained in the respective areas, they cannot be perfect, because they are trained only in one area. It is not necessary they are having knowledge, but reason is essentially related with the knowledge. So, he was the one who find that he was the one who has been acknowledged that he is the man or he is the woman who could be the perfect only, and that is why the training has been given. So, actually philosopher can do no wrong. You cannot think even that if he could become the wrong, the entire theory has gone, entire philosophy has gone. So, he cannot make any mistake. Done? चलिए अब थोड़ा justice पे ही बात कर रहे हैं. There was a methodology for the justice. There was a methodology for the justice. What is the name of the Plato's book? What was the name of the Plato's book? Republic. In his book Republic, he made a section, and the title of the section is Justice. Title of the section is Justice, and the entire Republic has been written in dialogue form. It has been written in a dialogue form where few people are there and they are discussing with each other. Interesting point is that the person who is representing the view of Plato is basically his own master Socrates is there. His own master Socrates is there. Now, with this idea of dialogue format of Republic, it is also considered to be that he was actually reproducing the knowledge what he got from Socrates, and he was trying to convey the message he has been falsely hanged or poisoned, and his theorem and his theories and ideas were correct to the word, and he was reproducing in a different format. Sometimes if argument is that Plato made Plato made Socrates immortal. Now, explanation of such questions is basically comes from here, like Justice, which is written in dialogue form, whatever the argument given by our ideas and you can say ideas and learnings he got from the Socrates, he reproduced it. Now, here you will give a reference of a particular idea while for completing your answer. Look, why Socrates has been given death sentence? One of the important reason, he was criticizing basically format of democracy. He was criticizing as a format of democracy, and he was regularly saying this one, in democracies those who do not deserve, even they become rulers or king. and it is because of that criticizing that king or raising question against the king is justified. Now, the Greek people believe that king, based on the idea of divine theory. So, his opposition of a king is a disregard and opposing the Greek gods. This is a two different thing. It is a Greek god in that sense because the king is, and he was asking against the king or speaking against the king because the king was elected. I mean, it was not a modern election, but there was a democratic system at that time. Again, this democratic system is not in this way. I mean, okay, democratic system in terms of Aristotle or Plato was the system where people get the opportunity to become the king because of their convincing style, because of their orating style. It is not because of their personal conduct or character or knowledge. He was severe critical of this argument that in democracies, suppose there is a king and 4 or 5 other people who is related to the bloodline only, and one has been made king, and most important, everyone accepted him king. He was saying this, there should be a proper method of appointment of the king, and by his theorem of justice he was talking the same. The philosopher king must be a person who is holding knowledge. It must not be a person who belong to a particular bloodline. He must not be a person who might be a good orator, but not holding the knowledge. He is just repeating what Socrates was saying. So, I repeat, if they ask a question, if there is a question regarding, क्वेश्चन लिख लीजिए, उसका मैं फॉर्मेट बोल रहा हूँ. It was the Plato who made Socrates immortal, who made Socrates immortal. Now, your answer will be, that's true. You'll give a consent to the statement. Plato, by his writings, and ideas made Socrates immortal. Then you are going to take few lines. You are going to take few lines to write Socrates has been given death sentence because of opposing democracy, and he has been charged of disregarding or you can say disrespecting Greek gods. Just 4 or 5 lines you will take and talk about. And Plato promoted the ideas of Socrates in his book Republic, or you can write promoted his Socrates ideas in his book Republic, as well as Socrates become the chief orator or you can say representative of the Plato's idea. And then you will talk about how he criticized democracy, or you just giving the idea of the philosopher king, you will make a reference ki look, Plato in his Republic criticize the king who is not holding the knowledge, and this is way, in this way he endorsed the idea of the Socrates. So, now it is correct to say, conclusion part, now it is correct to say, by promoting ideas and by promoting you can say ideas and writings, learnings of the Socrates through his own writing made Socrates immortal. That will be the frame for writing. Look, do not write in a general way, give the reference of that particular democracy part. This is a core point or key point of the answer. If I summarize it again, there is a 2 logic involved in this. Logic 1, he made him immortal through his writings. Second point of this point only, as he is the chief orator of his book Republic, specifically chapter Justice. Next point is this, you are showing this ki how he is promoting the ideas of the Socrates using the same democracy logic, ki how Socrates has been hanged or given death sentence because of opposing democracy, and Plato, by providing the theorem of philosopher king, opposed the same line or opposed what we say opposed democracy or appointment of the king through the democracies. So, this is how the ideas of the Socrates has been made immortal by the Plato. This will be the format writing interrelationship of Plato and Socrates. Conclusion will be like he made him immortal through his writings and his book basically. No, this is different. In the last point you are giving the reference of a example and then you are writing. Okay. Now, if write another question. Plato in his theorem of justice not only revived ideas of Socrates at the same time criticized all existing theory of justice, Now, here you see, when I am saying ki he was not only giving his own theorem of justice, but at the same time he was criticizing. So, how it is there? Look what happened in his theorem of justice. It starts like this. There are 3-4 people, his chapter starts, there are 3-4 people who are in discussion. One is Socrates and there is 3-4 more people are there, and now they are discussing what is justice. So, rest of the people, first they are telling what is justice. So, whatever they are telling what is justice, they are representing the contemporary theory of the time. Suppose somebody says that justice is a weaker's reward, just giving example, or somebody is saying something else. So, this is representing a contemporary theorem of justice. So, what he did that he refuted all contemporary theory of justice and then he provided his own theorem of justice. Now, listen, अभी मैं इसको भी लिखवा देता हूँ. If there is a question about theorem of justice and it is a plain question to discuss his theorem of justice, then in introduction part you have to mention that he has criticized all contemporary theory of justice, and now here you will use some name of the theories as well as the name of the person who has given those theories. That should be first 4-5 line, and then you will come for what was his theorem of justice. So, this part is equally important. I mean, before 2005 they used to ask a full question on this part, but now they do not ask. So, normally you should have the idea of these three. So, please, I am making you write, you cannot find in the notes basically. Traditional theory of justice. What I am saying, traditional theory of justice is a contemporary theory of justice. There was 2-3 theory of justice in contemporary time of Plato. One was traditional theory of justice. Write down. Traditional theory of justice was given by syphilis, I am spelling S, sorry, CEPHALUS. He was the leading scholar. He was the leading scholar of the traditional theory of justice. I repeat, CEPHALUS. This theory is also known as customary view. This theory is also known as customary view of justice. Customary view of justice. Now, एक लाइन बस लिखनी है. He defines justice as consisting in speaking the truth, and paying one's debt. Speaking the truth and paying one's debt. Fine. Now, this was criticized by Plato. But technically it was Socrates who was representing Plato in the conversation. Next one. What? Speaking the truth and paying one's debt. What? Okay. This is, I said कि this is Plato, but actually Socrates is representing Plato in the debate, because Plato is the one who is writing basically, and his writing there is a character. This character who is representing, this character is Socrates, and this is one character who is representing the traditional theory of justice. So, this is what the meaning of tradition. You have to write just the name. This was the traditional view of justice given by this person, and this is what the meaning, and just in one line it has been criticized by Plato. Next one. Just making it clear, look, if you read book, you will find almost 10 pages on the views and their criticism. Technically it is not required. So, do not go into the detail ki why, what this Glucon has said or what this Selphus has said and what the Plato has answered, it is not required. Just to know this is the name of the theory given by person, and it is the crux of that one. Next one, radical theory of justice. Radical theory of justice given by sophist, sophist, S-O-P-H-I-S-T, sophist, are Thrasymachus, I am spelling it, Thrasymachus, T-H-R-A-S-Y-M-A-C-H-U-S, Thrasymachus. Okay, write down. Sophist criticized justice. Sophist criticized justice. Actually, they do not believe in justice, so they criticize justice. They say might is right. Their theorem of justice is might is right. Might is right. Might is right. Okay. Now, again it was criticized by Plato. Next one. No, it is talking about might is right, it is talking about the people. There is not justice. If those who are powerful, they can do whatever they wish to do. For them, this is what justice is. Justice is not it to support the poor or one should get his due. They do not accept this line. So, Plato criticized this one. Next one, contractual theory. Contractual theory of justice. Contractual theory of justice. The contractual theory of justice is given by Glucon, G-L-A-U-C-O-N, Glucon, glucon, glucon. Now he says justice is the interest of the weaker. Justice is the interest of the weaker. It is the child of the fair. It is the child of the fair. Fear, child of the fear. So, I guess whatever you have written, use the name and the theory. If there is a flat question, if a very simple flat question, what is theorem of justice, do mention this theorem. Or if a question as you have written that he did not provide his new theorem, but also he criticized all existing theorem, then you come what is his theory. What is his theory? This is what we have discussed. Functioning as per their natural trait, this is what his theorem or what is his theory of justice is there. Now, few more conclusions related to his theorem of justice. A statement, please do write a statement. These four are the contemporary theorists which has been criticized by Plato. आपको नहीं करना है, इतना ही लिखना है आपको. हाँ, it has been criticized and then you come what the Plato is saying. Please write down a statement. The state is individual writ large. हाँ नहीं एक स्टेटमेंट है, इस पे आता है लिखने के लिए. The state is individual writ large. State is individual writ large. What he is trying to say, WRIT, writ large. इनकी लैंग्वेज ऐसी ही है. This is not the writ issued by Supreme Court. Okay, this is not that writ. Now, what is the meaning of this? The state is the individual writ large. Before writing it, just understand. एक मिनट में आपको समझ में आएगा. इंडिविजुअल स्टेट, स्टेट इज large form of the individual. In what sense state is a large form of an individual? State is a large form of individual in terms of its inner character, in terms of its own natural trait. So, his argument is that state is nothing. State is actually the reflection of inner human nature or inner character of the human basically. So, that is why he says I am talking about this statement is particularly in context of Plato. This is not the general understanding of the state. What I am saying, if you say state is individual writ large, this statement is Plato's statement only. It cannot be explained generally. What I say, this is the Plato's understanding about the state. His understanding about the state is, if you see his theorem of justice, you can easily connect it. His theorem of state says, state is nothing but a platform where people get their maximum, or whatever the maximum they have, once it get reflect, they made state. They made state. Is it clear? You will be surprised while reading the Aristotelian idea. It is very much in the similar line. It is very much in the similar line. I am using a new term here. First, you understood this point, individual writ large. It is means that the reflection of the inner character which get culminated in their highest form is the state, which get culminated. Okay, see, suppose 3 classes are there, when their characters are not evolved, they are not at the level of the state. This state becomes state once this all character get reflected basically. maybe through education, training and all. Then only the state came into existence. So, state is a perfect idea. ध्यान सुनिए, state is a perfect idea where everyone get its best. What we are talking about? Individual justice. What is individual justice? When you finally explode what the best you have, and you this your all natural characters got its highest form. It is something like that, there is a seed, it become a tree. So, we all are human being with the certain characters. Once these characters get fully evolved because of the identification and training, then only we are going to establish state. Before that, in the process, until unless this all are reflected, we are not at the process of the state. Look, अभी आपको लग रहा होगा कि how it is possible if you are living in a territory it become a state. So, understand, ये मैं केवल समझाने के लिए बोल रहा हूँ, इसको लिखना नहीं है. Understand this point. For Plato, look, modern concept of state is like there is a territory, there is a population, sovereignty. Now, Plato was not talking about state. If people are living in a territory, people are living in a defined territory and people are there. So, it is just they are residing here. It is not that it is a state. Every territory where people are living, it is not a state. His argument is that state is a special type of organization. State is a special type of organization get evolved when the best of the people get evolved. So, suppose in this state everyone, I mean all those who are living over there, their individual characters get evolved in the fullest form, then only we can say it become a state. Or even half of them having this character, so this half of them make the state, not the rest of them. Now, connect it. That is why in a particular territory there are citizens, there are non-citizens, there are residents, there are foreigners. Those who are living over here, but in terms of their character they are not up to that level, they are not considered as a part of the state and they are not given the citizenship of the state. So, state is something exclusive organization. State is something exclusive organization. So, if we talk about state for the Plato, for state for the Plato is a perfect state, is a perfect organization. I am using the word for Plato. State is perfect organization. State is perfect organization. If I ask why it is perfect organization? Because it consists of the perfect humans, and perfect humans are what? They are basically achieve the fullest form of their traits and they are working in coordination with each other. In that sense, it is considered to be a perfect state, a perfect organization. Now, मैं एक नया concept आपको बता रहा हूँ, concept of organic state. पहले इसको हम आप कॉपी में लिखते हैं तो इसको जस्ट साइड में लिख लिया करिए समझने के लिए कि ये क्या है. Though they are not part of the state, they are not part of the state, they are living just in a territory, that's all. See, concept of state in the entire political theory is two types. There is a organic state and there is a mechanistic state. Mechanistic state is very clear. State is like a machine which has been built by or created by human being. When you say organic, what is the meaning of organic? Evolving, natural. When you say organic, that continue to evolve. Plato and Aristotle both are credited for providing organic view of state. organic view of state. I am adding on. State is a perfect organization. State is organic entity. State is organic entity. State is natural entity. State is natural entity. There are three specific feature. State is a perfect organization. State is a organic entity. State is a natural entity. You will find high similarity between Aristotelian concept of state and Plato concept of state, although they use it in a different format basically. Now, here Plato was proposing that idea like humans, if they are having some traits, but if it is not evolved, until unless it evolved, they are not complete human, they are incomplete human. Once the entire characteristics that get evolved, they become complete human. Now, interesting part, where that I mean, okay, I would say when their characters get completely evolved, then what it become? It becomes state. When, I mean, in a territory, when they are living, just simply they are living, their characters are there. So, actually there is no state at that time. People are living in a territory, interacting with each other for their basic needs, but later on what happened? When their characters started growing up because of the education and whatever the theorem he has provided. Once few of them, many of them, all of them evolved that, then that particular territory get converted into the state. When he is saying this, state is an individual writ large. So, actually state is the reflection of the organized human character, which is expressed in its fullest form, which is expressed in its fullest form. This is what we talk about, state is individual writ large. And here you say it is an organic view in the sense state is also getting evolved, and the state is not becoming state until unless human get expressed is all. So, state is becoming from territory to state. Technically there is a journey of territory to a state, as the journey of the human being for being a human. I mean, as I said on that day, human being and being human is a two different thing. So, actually here he is talking about being human is something where all the characters of the human being get expressed in its fullest form. So, that is why it is known as organic theorem of state. It is known as organic theorem of state. Is it clear what is organic view of state? Is it clear in what sense? I will make you write this also. Look, if I will make you write by reading the language, it will be very difficult for you to understand. Once you understand, you can mug up at that basically. So, understand his organic view, it means state is a natural entity. Organic view means that state is consistently evolving, but state is not evolving. State itself is a perfect condition. State is evolving from a territory and finally it become state, and definitely it is a perfect organization, organic entity, and it is a natural. अब इसी context में देख लीजिए, when we say state is a individual writ large, write down. The state is individual writ large. The state is an individual writ large colon करके the inner principle of human mind, the inner principle of human mind work themselves human mind work themselves out in the social institutions, out in the social institutions, and are manifested Next point, the minds of the individual, the minds of the individual and the minds of the state are identical, are identical. कोलन करके लिखिएगा. The life of the state, the life of the state is the life of the men composing it, composing it. Next one. Therefore, instead of analyzing, therefore, instead of analyzing, therefore, instead of analyzing the human soul and considering justice there, comma, Plato studies it, Plato studies it as it exists, as it exists in general in the state, in general in the state. Because state become because of the, you can say, evolution of the human. उसके पहले तो state cannot be a state basically. So state is essentially associated, state is essentially associated with the idea of the evolution of human being, with the idea of the evolution of the human being. लिखिए थोड़ा और, इसी वाले पार्ट में लिखना है, पैराग्राफ चेंज करके. State is constituent of individuals but in functional format, but in functional format. But in functional format, and therefore it is nothing but a reflection of its citizens' nature. ठीक, उसके आगे डबल इन्वर्टेड कॉमा में लिखेंगे लाइक मैन कॉमा लाइक स्टेट, लाइक मैन कॉमा लाइक स्टेट. Next one, Plato made it clear that, next point, Plato made it clear that without understanding human beings' nature, we cannot identify a organization where it could reflect completely, where it could reflect completely. State is next one. State is nothing but magnification of human nature, because in the state only, human being is in position to completely express in its fullest form, Okay. Now, if there is a question, they made this statement only. You have see, if you see the question paper, you will find out. Like, state is individual writ large. What will be the format of that? Simple. उसमें मुझे केवल आपको introduction part बताना है. You will simply say, before writing whatever you have written, you will simply say, this statement reflects nature and construct of state, as Plato identify state as, ये तीनों चीज, as Plato identify state as perfect organization, organic entity, natural entity, ये तीनों चीजें, organic, perfect organization, organic entity, natural entity. This is going to be your second point. Third point, as he identified interconnecting organic relationship, between human beings nature and state, ये आपका इंट्रोडक्शन पॉइंट होगा. उसके बाद आपने जितना लिखा है यू विल ऐड ऑन. नाउ दिस इज गोइंग टू बी द इंट्रोडक्शन पॉइंट ऑफ योर आंसर, एंड रेस्ट ऑफ द पॉइंट यू हैव ऑलरेडी रिटन, यू विल write it. So this is going to be your one answer. This is going to be one answer if they ask it. Yes. नहीं. हाँ, that's all. नहीं, बड़ी नहीं है. दिस इज, ये आपने तीन ही पॉइंट तो लिखा, आप एक ही पॉइंट में इसको लिख सकते हैं अगर आपको ऐसा लग रहा है. द स्टेट इज परफेक्ट, ऑर्गेनिक एंड नेचुरल एंटिटी. इजंट इट इन जस्ट वन लाइन? ये तो मैं आपको समझाने के लिए 3 लाइन में बताया हूँ. व्हाइल राइटिंग आंसर 2 ही इंफॉर्मेशन दी आपने. फर्स्ट वन, द स्टेटमेंट रिफ्लेक्ट्स द नेचर एंड कंस्ट्रक्ट ऑफ द स्टेट. एज ही आइडेंटिफाइड स्टेट इज अ परफेक्ट, ऑर्गेनिक एंड, so how many lines is take? This is what the introduction point. नहीं, एक्चुअली इन चीजों का क्रिटिसिज्म नहीं है, बिकॉज मैंने कहा ना, इट इज ओनली द आइडिया ऑफ द प्लेटो. It is only the idea of the Plato. It is something like he is saying the state is like this. Obviously criticism तो बहुत लिख सकते हैं इसका, how it could be state organic. So you will write the criticism on the perception or the view from this mechanistic state. You can criticize state a lot. How could be a state as a evolving entity? How it could be a natural entity? There is no proof in the history that state got birth somewhere, but these are irrelevant criticism, because he holds a particular view, that is organic view of state basically. If you criticize divine theory, so if you criticize divine theory that there is no God, then how he can provide the power to the people? Again, this is no criticism basically, because divine theory accept this assumption there is a God, and you outrightly said we don't believe in God. So there is no further discussion on the theory basically. So we need to put a correct context basically. Yes, somebody was asked. Yes. Look, I said it earlier also, repeating. When you are quoting something from the contemporary phenomena, you have to show the linkages. You cannot use it for the criticism, because again and again I am saying, his time was 2000 years back, he propagated the certain ideas and it get evolved in the modern time in different format. Now in notes you will see on, इसको लिख लीजिए, on the page number 5, in page number 5, no law or ordinance, no law or ordinance is mightier than knowledge. No law or ordinance is mightier than knowledge. Explanation of this has been given. It is a complete answer. When you write in your notebook, it is going to be entire one page. Now this is the answer of that. Why, how come Plato, sorry, how come philosopher king is above law? How come philosopher king is perfect and he cannot be challenged? Any question knitted around that idea, any question knitted around that idea, that this philosopher king is not under law. So answer is this one. Any question related to, if they ask directly, the orders of the philosopher king is the final, you are going to write the same. If they ask a question like no law or ordinance is mightier than the knowledge, if this statement is there, you will identify this statement has been given by Plato in context of interrelationship of a law and philosopher king. This is what you will give a correct context. If this question is there, no law or ordinance is mightier than knowledge. So starting point is that this statement is given by Plato in the context of explaining relationship of a law and philosopher king. And he is trying to explain that, knowledge is above all existing law or the law which will be created by the state in the future. So technically philosopher king is above everything. You see the entire you can say answer of this one. It is a complete answer. It is a complete answer of this question. So if they ask in a different format, how come he is not bound by his own law, why he is not under his own law, then again it is going to be the similar answer. You need just articulation and then you have to develop it basically. You need just articulation. Content almost is going to remain the same basically. Again, there will be no conclusion for this. Again and again I am saying it is a very specific view. This is how he understands the state. Conclusion is just one line, what exactly he is saying. The last line what you have written, it is just the magnification of the human nature, that is all. Because these are very exclusive concepts. Their argument is that if you remain alone anywhere, the qualities what you have, it is not going to be worked. Until unless you are going with the people, then only these qualities are going to be out. When we say the famous statement you might have studied in school, human is or man is a social animal. So what is the meaning that a man is a social animal? The point is that only in the society we will be in position to realize the functioning of the mind, whatever the character we have, it get reflected. That is why social animal, because it is the society that help you to evolve with your all natural traits or characters. In that sense, the first line is there. I guess is something is simple, like if he is talking about individual justice and at the same time he is talking about state is nothing except the individual writ large. So, technically if it is going to be the individual justice, automatically it is going to be justice for the society. Suppose you are doing justice with you, it means that you are performing for what you are best, fine. Everyone is doing in the similar way. Now, what is the combined outcome of that? What is the combined? This whole thing is connected. What is the combined out of that? It's simple. Because it is the reflection of that. It is the reflection of that. So, now studying it in a particular human being, he is saying this, it is all get expressed in the state. So, now if you want to study human being, you can study even the state, result is going to be the same one, because both are identical in nature, they are not the different one. State is nothing, but state is only the cumulative effect of, you can say, all the best natural traits, are all the natural traits human beings are having. So, actually rather than studying in a particular human being, better you can study it from the outside. This is what it is saying. देखिए, अभी before going for the criticism of it, basically I just want to make a comparison and then we will go for the criticism, because Karl Popper criticism is considered to be the biggest criticism of the Plato, and even it is a criticism of Aristotle too. He also criticized Marx. So, I am not going into the criticism first, I am just discussing what is the extension of this idea. What is the extension? Look in your notes, you can find like, can Plato be considered as a communist? Look, I can explain it, but the point is that until unless you know what is communist, we will understand when we will study Marx. So, at that time if I will teach, it will be easy to understand basically. Comparison of Plato's communism and Marxist communism, again it will be different. I have to explain the whole Marxist communism, then you will understand if I will talk about the difference. So, even before going the Aristotelian evaluation of the Plato, or how Aristotle criticized, you understand what Aristotle was saying, then you can easily connect that in what sense Aristotle is criticizing Plato. In what sense Aristotle is criticizing Plato. Okay. Actually, I am talking about now Aristotle. Now, see here, if we have to identify what is the difference between Aristotle and Plato, what is the difference between Aristotle and Plato? So, is it the difference of their theories, or it is the difference of their ideas, or something else? Most of the scholars concluded this, neither it was the difference of their ideas nor theories, it was the difference of their style, it was the difference of their understanding of the implementation of the theories. Let me clarify this. Aristotle is considered to be a great philosopher of his time. Sorry, Plato is considered to be a great philosopher of his time, but he is not considered to be father of political science. It is his own student Aristotle is considered to be father of political science. Now, why it is? Why he has not been credited? One of the major acquisition against him was that his entire thinking is only in the philosophical format, and this philosophical format was also not taking into the consideration of the contemporary situation. It was completely in the metaphysical format, or it was completely in a, you can say, abstract format, you can say. And Aristotle was more worried about Plato's ideas to be implemented. I am using the word. Aristotle was more worried about Plato's ideas to be implemented. Now, you see a chain. Plato actually reproduced or popular his own master's ideas. Aristotle understood this point that whatever Plato is saying, it seems to be utopian for the people. We consider it as a philosophy, but Greek society was there. There was a master slave, I mean there were slaves, there were master, there is a woman, there is a man, there is all the system was going on. And one day some person has come and says, this is all flawed system, we need to have a new system. And new system will be designed around these basic principles. So, how come people are going to be convinced or accepted? Technically it is not possible. So, when Plato has written all these things, so he has been praised by the scholars, but he failed to make any impact on the common man, common people, and his ideas may be correct, but not at all was accepted. I have given you the example, two of the great kings understood that okay, he is making some sense. So, he was invited to train their son, and the resultant was that their son was looking forward to kill Plato, and finally he flew. Now, Aristotle used, and I would say that he just reproduced what Plato has said, but he reproduced in such a way that it seems to be very pragmatic, it seems to be easily accepted by the people. It is because of that Plato is considered to be a philosophical thinker and Aristotle is considered to be a practical thinker, and he is father of political science. So, it is nothing new we are going to study in Aristotle. We are going to study the Plato's idea, but in a very new format, but it is a very new format. First, I will give an example. Look, Plato completely ignored slavery system of the time, and look, entire economy, it is the slaves who are working in the farms, it is the slaves who are handling the household activities, and he did not talk anything about slave. In fact, Plato talked about the equality rather than treating discriminating slaves. So, if the people will come to know, the first question is this: how our system will run. Now, I am saying this part. If I say that slavery system was a institutionalized form there and it has to be eliminated, but just merely giving a philosophical explanation was not enough to eliminate that system. So, he simply says equality. Now, Aristotle has come and he said no, he said there must be a slavery system. आप हर किताब में पढ़ेंगे, हर जगह पढ़ेंगे कि Aristotle was a great supporter of the slavery system. So, now it seems to be, how come such a big scholar trained by Plato, the Plato was a egalitarian, he was not talking about this one, how come he is going to be a great supporter of slavery? So, technically he was not great supporter of slavery. He was very much pragmatic and he knew this point. Even if you want to eliminate slavery, then you need to you need to clear some way, okay, this is how things will go, things will move on. So, his first challenge was not the elimination of the slavery, his first challenge was good behavior with the slaves, because at that time forget about elimination of the system, slaves were treated badly. So, what he did that he first said, the first line say, slavery is a very important institution, without slavery society cannot survive. This is what he made the statement, and he identified why people become slave, because he was the one who has given or organized theory of slavery. He was the one who has given organized theory of slavery, and he said that look, there are two types of people. There are the two types, those who do not have intellectual traits and those who have intellectual traits. Those who do not have intellectual trait, they are the slaves. इनको वो कहता है natural slaves. Naturally, their way of thinking is quite low, and at the same time they are physically strong, although there is no such kind of trend is there. But he was just creating a theory. He is saying they are physically strong, they are mentally weak, so they are not in position to think about what is good for them. Sometimes they are self-destructive too. So he said that it is good for them to live under the intellectual shadow of a master, because it is the master who is holding the intellectual capacity, will show him the path ki how he can survive in his life. And at the same time he said ki okay, master cannot do everything. I mean, point is that if master will be involved in his work, maybe in agriculture or in household work, then how he could perform intellectual works? I mean, how he could become a statesman? So actually, master also need a person who can assist him. So what he did that, he created a kind of relationship of interdependence between master and slave, and made a line. In a body, master is a brain or head, and the rest of the body is like a slave. So don't mistreat them. You are mistreating them, or it simply means that you are harming your own body, because they are providing you a support. It was, this theory was well explained and well accepted, because this theory is not saying कि there will be no slavery and all, because people are having 100 and 1000 of the slave, so everybody accepted कि okay, he is saying sense, because he is saying yes, everyone can have slave. But gradually he made it clear कि look, this is what he is doing, and he also said that how they become slave. How they become slave? Because intellectually. So he justified the slavery, but his justification of the slavery is not to maintain the slavery system. His justification is only to open the gate for the emancipation of the slaves. This is just opposite to that. And he further says कि fine, next generation of the slave should be slave again. And he said कि it is not necessary. I didn't again say कि no. He said it is not necessary. And he used the language, being with the master for a long time, maybe with the experience, with the knowledge of the master, certain trade get easily transferred to the next generation of the slave. And if he is holding that mental capacity, then definitely he must not be made slave. So what he did that? He opened the gate for the end of the slavery too. He did that there should be a good treatment of the slave. He said that next generation might be, might not be slave. By this idea, everyone was ready. Gradually what happened in Greek, ki a code has been designed on what basis a slave could be out of the slavery system. Look, this code was not possible if they follow just what Plato has said. This was the example कि Aristotle was more pragmatic thinker. He was reproducing the knowledge of or intentions of Plato only, but in a very different format. So when you see okay, Aristotle is criticizing Plato, you will find out most of the time his criticism is closely associated with the non-applicability of the system, or criticism of those points which seems to be not easily accepted by the masses. This was his view. I mean, this is how Aristotle moved forward in his theorem and provided all a new theory of the, reproduce all the theories of the Plato itself. मैं यहीं से स्टार्ट कर रहा हूँ. स्टेट से ही हम बात कर रहे हैं. आई गेस इंटरकनेक्शन ऑफ प्लेटो और एरिस्टोटल ये हमेशा दिमाग में रखना. वेन एवर यू स्टडी एरिस्टोटल and whenever you see a criticism of Aristotle to the Plato, just think about he is really criticizing or what actually he is doing. So, you will find out. I am again using a concept of state. Now, इसका बिल्कुल simple state लगता है, ये Aristotelian state है, I am talking about Aristotelian state. Now, you will find out the concept of the Aristotelian state simply says, first there was an individual, this individual was looking for his survival and he made family. This family made by the individual was just to ensure the fulfillment of the basic needs of the individual. Now, see what Plato was saying, there should not be family. Now, see the pragmatic part. How come rest of the people who are holding families, holding properties, would be ready to leave their families and properties? So, he is not saying that the family institution is a bad institution. He is not saying that family institution is a diverting institution. He is saying family, property, these all institutions are good institution and it must be there. He has just different what Plato has said. Interesting part, in his definition of the family or in the definition of Aristotelian family, in the definition of the Aristotelian family, there is individual. Interesting part, this individual is 100% men, just men. Then there would be women. Here at some point he said that women are property of the men, are individuals. Then he talked about property. In property there is a slave as well as what you say wealth. This is how the composition of Aristotelian family is there. So, what he says that the first institution is a family institution. The first organization is the family institution. Then he says family institutions moved, and then if lot of families come together, they make villages. Again he is saying lot of villages come together and it made a state. अब इसको देख के लग रहा है कि it's very simple. What is this in that? Now here, in a family, what is the function of a person? In a family, what is the function of the person or what a person is capable of doing? He says the institution of family is designed only to satisfy the basic need of a person, that is food, shelter and sex, nothing else. So, technically this family should be there and human being will be quite happy in their family. Now, once few more characters get evolved, when creativity get expressed, then only they make village. When the creativity get expressed, then only they make village. Now, understand this part. Plato was also talking about three classes. He is also talking about actually three classes, but here he is defining the classes in terms of evolving character of the human being. Here he is saying all those people come who are mainly are at the level of just satisfying their basic needs. They do not want to do anything else beyond that. तो आराम से घर में हैं, खा पी रहे हैं, life is going on. Now, few of them now decided कि there more traits should be expressed. अगर ऐसे कह दिया जाए, being a part of family, how it help you to express your internal trait. So, mainly what type of trait will be expressed in the family, what type of trait will be expressed in the village, and what type of trait will be expressed in a state. This is completely entirely different one. So, Aristotle was talking about, look, at the level of family, people are just living, and it is the first institution where a raw human being got birth and living his life. Till date, there is no state exist on this earth. Only human beings with their families living here and there. इसको मैं practically कहूँ, so there is a territorial land where families are living, but still it is not a village. हमारे दिमाग में क्या है? Village where lot of families are living. For him, village is not where lot of families are living. This is the place where families are living. They are not village because the people who are living here are individuals who are living here. They are mainly concerned about their basic needs. If they are concerned about their basic needs, तो कैसा हो रहा है? Suppose here is a jungle and other places, they are coming, they are hunting, they are coming, they are hunting, now going back to their places, they are living, they see each other, maybe they talk to each other, say hi, hello to each other. This is the normal thing for them. Now things gradually start changing. Once the human being's basic need gets satisfied, now the next level come where he is looking forward to express the further trait what he is having. Now for this purpose, he started interacting to the rest of the people, and almost everyone, it is a process, everyone from the families started looking forward to express their next level of character. It gets expressed in many formats. Maybe someone is painting, maybe someone is making some craft, maybe someone is writing, and definitely they started expressing it to the others. And once it happens, they started they decided ki, okay, now we are going to regularly meet, now we are going to regularly talk, and few more families come. Now this become a village. So village is a functional concept. I repeat, village is a functional concept where a next level of character of the human being get displayed. Family is again a functional concept where a few characters of the human being get displayed. It is not, still not that all the quality of the human being get expressed. Now what happened? Village was there, people are living together, they are expressing their new traits, some become painter, some become singer, craftsmen are there, and there the interdependency of life is there. So this is a village, still no state. अगर physical format में देखें, if you see it in a physical format, there is a territory where people are living. Even in the state of family, there is a territory people are living, but still we do not say it is a state. Understand, Aristotelian concept and Plato's concept is a functional state concept. It is not a theoretical in the modern terms. Now what he says, ki few of them only started looking for, searching for more greater characters. They want to express themselves fully, and this led to the formation of state. This led to the formation of state. If I will make it a structure for this, it is going to be like this. Family, village and state. Family, village and state. Now all people is here. So few are individuals are at the level of family, few individuals are at the level of village, few are at the level of the state. But in the same territory, everyone is living in the same territory. So state is that platform where a human can express in fullest form, what Plato has said. अभी हमने पढ़ा था ना, individual is state is individual writ large. He is saying the same thing. It is the state where you can express your all qualities. Now I am coming to the next point. Okay, how come a state where we can express all the qualities? Because he said state is the platform of politics, village is a platform of societal activities, and village is a platform of complete personal activity. So what happened at the level of family, when you are not into the politics, you are just expressing what the basic character of the human being is there. And he says that there is not much difference of a human being with the animal when they are living at the level of the family. When they moved up to the next level, few more character evolved. When they move up to the next level, few more character are they finally expressed. Now his conception of politics is entirely different from the modern style of politics. His argument is that politics is the most complex and toughest activity. In order to be part of politics, one need to be completely evolved and developed. अभी हमारे लिए क्या है कि okay, you are in politics, anyhow you have to win the election. For Aristotle, look, in family, you just think about yourself. In village, you just think about your family. At the level of the state, you think about everyone. Now see from this perspective, politics is an activity where person make policy programs for the others. Here no personal interest in involved, because your personal interest was already served here. In village also you are representing the interest of your family, but when you are at the level of state where you are engaged in politics, you are just thinking for the welfare of, ये language में सिर्फ समझाने के लिए इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ, you are just looking for the welfare of the entire people. Just think about this, making policy programs, considering everyone, disassociating yourself from your personal interest is not that. It will require high level of quality or a high level of character where people are above with what we say with the normal interest of the human being. So his concept of politics was very clear. If you are doing politics, it's simply you are just looking for that how rest of the people can get their best. You want everyone to be there. Those who are at the level of family, what problem they are facing, you are going to address this. At those who are at the level of village, what problem they are facing, you are going to address this. At the same time, you have to make such policies they could evolve and move in at the level of the state. Move at the level of the state. मैं एक और example दे रहा हूँ. Suppose you are an individual, and at the individual, you are just leading a simple life, having a family. Now you have a art of painting. So at the village level, you come and you are just worried about making your own paintings and selling it. Whatever the money you are getting, you are taking it to your home. So now in both process, you are worried about yourself and your family. Now once you become a craft minister, once you go at the level of the politics, then you are not worried about your own painting. You are worried about that whosoever is a painter in the state is there, how they should sell it basically. You are more worried about this one, how this art should get improved. So his argument is this, the politics is not something, a small activity. In order to perform, you should have a high level of the character and intelligence. It is pure intellectual activities which required a lot of intellect. That cannot be done a person who is simply thinking about his own interest. यहाँ से एक बढ़िया concept है. Why he is opposing the idea of the democracy? Because now he says that if everyone will choose their leaders, so the people involved, whatever their level is that, they will think from that level or from that direction. Suppose a modern context example there. If somebody is offering you free Wi-Fi, or somebody is offering you free commutation, if somebody is offering you 3 rupees kg rice or wheat, and if you are voting them, that simply means that you belong to this level. How you choose your leader, how you choose your leader, that is closely associated where you are placed. He is worried about this point. He is worried about this, ki if every, again he will think about himself and his families. That is why he was opposing the idea of the democracy, and he was saying that only those people should rule who have that character to rule, those who have character to rule. Now compare what Plato was saying and what Aristotle was saying. Aristotle was saying the same thing, that only philosopher kings should rule, and rest of the people should not be allowed to rule, they should be allowed to do the similar function. And here Aristotle is simply saying this. That is why in Aristotelian state he is also talking about citizenship should be confined only to the free men. It should be confined only to the free men. Free men are those who are practicing politics, those who are practicing politics. So all those who are residing in this territory cannot be citizen, because few of them is that level, few of them is that level, and he does not allow here or people residing here to vote. Only they will vote and they will elect and they will rule, and rest of the people will follow whatever they say. And he justify that ki whatever they will say, it is in favor of them. Now you cannot say this, okay, what if these people become corrupt? They cannot become the corrupt, because if they will become the corrupt, so technically they will be either on this level or either on that level. They cannot be up to that level. So that is why he opposed the idea of the democracy. Here he is talking about the same thing. There is a three classes. There is a three classes. Here a family, a complete individual holding the desire. This was the basic character, holding the desire. So fulfilling the desire. A person who is holding the spirit to do something. He want to go beyond their desires. He want to do something. He want to show something to the society. And here you can find again is the character of the reason, where he want to do something for the rest of the people. He himself is out of this league. So this is what is nothing new. It is just the repetition of the Plato. It is just the repetition of the Plato, but it is in a very pragmatic way. He is not saying the society should have three classes. He is saying that all these people exist in a single territory. At the same time, few are at this level, few are at this level, few are at this level. He is addressing the core concern of the Plato, who should rule. He is identifying only those people ruled who are free men, those who are involved in politics. यहीं से concept है उसका. Evolution of state, ये भी इसका view भी है. Organic view of state. How it is organic view of state? Here state is absent. अगर इसको हम ऐसे बनाएं तो you find a similarity between state and human being. Family, village, state. Now compare parallel human being. At the level of family, suppose I am saying all the attributes of the human being is not completely expressed. So H is denoting to the human being. So if I say it is H minus 2, and if I say here it is H minus 1, and here if I say it is a complete human being. It is in other way. Suppose he is holding the 10 specific characters. Only 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely related with the desire. 2 get evolved over here, that is purely rela 2 3 more get expressed, which is mainly related with the passion, and rest of the character will get revealed here or expressed here related to the reason. He is saying the same thing. Everyone is having desire, passion and reason. This was the same thing Plato was saying. Plato was dividing. He is saying that we all have, and we move from one level to another level. He allow you, okay, when you are having a desire, so you are a family man. When you are having a passion, then you interact with the rest of the people. When your reason becomes strong or it dominates you, you become or you enter into the politics. This is the same thing what Plato has said. It was revived by the Aristotle. It is revived by the Aristotle, and it is in more pragmatic way than what Plato was talking about. It is in more pragmatic way what Plato was talking about this. Is it clear? Is it making sense what he is talking about? Now here, state is again an organic one. How it is organic one? This is the first stage, this is the second stage, and this is the third. So state is evolving. State is a perfect organization, because in that perfect organization, human being is fully expressed. You can say this, Plato wala state is individual writ large. Here you can find that it is the state where human being can get his best. वो कहता है, I mean, his statement is just different. He says, state is prior to human being. Write down this line. State is prior to human being. Aristotle, this is the statement of the Aristotle. State is prior to human being. State is prior to human being. चलिए इसका मतलब क्या है मुझे बताइए. हाँ, ह्यूमन से पहले स्टेट कैसे है? Exactly. This statement is talking about before the formation of state, human is not human. That's why I am saying it is H minus 2. So actually when he is saying that state is prior to human being, because human is becoming human only in the state. Human can get what the best it have. I mean, what his argument is that you cannot become human until unless all the qualities you have get expressed. You have 100 of the qualities. If half of the quality get expressed, so you are actually a half human. Again, his concept of human is not a physical format. It was more a functional format. It was more in form of character. It was more in format of character. It is something like that. A seed is here, plant is here, a tree is here. So he is talking about the tree is nothing. Tree was inside a seed only. But we cannot say a seed a tree, isn't it? When it become tree, then we will say tree. So technically when human become a complete human, it means that all the character of the human being will get expressed, then only it is considered to be the human being. So technically his argument is, state is prior to the human. It is prior to the human, because only in the state human being is in position to achieve his best. Human being is in position to express all the qualities what he has. Human being is in position to express best of his nature or complete of his nature. उसमें आपने लिखा था कि state is nothing but the magnification of the human nature. State is nothing but a expressed human nature, where it has been completely expressed. Human can get its fullest only the state. That's true. That is why it is organic conception of state. I am regularly saying it is an organic conception of state. It is not the mechanistic view. It is not the human being that makes state. It is basically the state from where human being become human. It is just opposite. It is the state from human being become human. So, the target of these people are to establish ideal state, because once they establish the ideal state, human being is already getting their best. That is why I say Plato क्या Aristotle कहता है state is association of association. Can you explain this in what term state is an association of an association? Because this is the classic example. It is the association of family. It is the association of the village. When you say it is state is a supreme association, in what sense it is a supreme association? Because it helps to express the supreme quality of the human being. Human become human, human gets its all best trait, only he moves into the state. No, he is also talking about ideal state, but he is not talking about my target is to establish ideal state. He is simply talking about how state should function, who state should rule. The same thing. I mean, if Plato, rather than saying my target is to have an ideal state, if he says that I am just looking forward how state should be ruled, and then say it should be ruled by philosopher king. He is simply saying this, okay, I am also looking forward how state could be more effective, how state could deliver in a better way. He is saying all these things, and then he has given his theory. So, he justified, isko dhyan sunna, he justified idea of the freeman, he justified everyone is not entitled to rule, he justified the slavery system, even he justified women should not be given the space neither here nor at the village level, because these are the popular practice of the time. These are all popular practice of the time, but he was opening the gate of the debate who should rule. He said free men should rule. What will be the criteria to identify free men? He said who is above of his own personal interest and above of his family's interest, they should rule. Now, our leader must not think of his personal interest or family interest. It become a criteria to judge, and he is not saying this one ki ruler is the perfect one. He is not saying in the similar way. He is saying that there is a criteria to judge the ruler also. The criteria is that he should work for the people, he should work for the public, and that is why he says that these free men will make laws, because what we believe they think for everyone. So, if they will make a law, these laws are going to be perfect and they will not be above the laws. Just opposite to that, they will be under the laws. So, his idea is that through the law state, but the laws are made by best of the people, and he was talking about best of the people will rule, but the target of the both was the same, that those who deserve to rule, they must rule. It is not that everyone should get the opportunity to rule, and specifically in democracy both are opposing, because in democracy those who do not deserve to rule, in terms of Plato, those who are not holding the knowledge, if they will rule, incident like what happened to the Socrates, it will have. And Aristotle was saying this one, just think about that, a person who is at the level of family and looking forward only for his personal interest, if he will rule, then what will happen? So, technically he is going to make such policies which is completely based on the benefit of his own. Now, you do not allow them to become his ruler, and logically people will easily accept why some will come and rule for his own interest, but actually he is reviving, he is saying the same thing what the Aristotle was saying.
Sir, who will decide, sir, that the person is a free man? How it will be identified?
It will come when his theory of justice will be discussed, and here you will criticize Aristotle ki who will decide. He identifies that it will be decided on the basis of contribution of the person in the society. So, how you will find out the contribution? Then you talk about who are active in the politics. It is not that everyone who is active in the politics, no, those whom are active in the politics and those whom contributed substantially. Then he identified, okay, what else will be the criteria? He says that we believe if their forefathers continue to contribute, their character might have reflected. So, allow those people who are already in the politics their next generation. Then he talk about this, there is another criteria to identify that who is ruling. Like if a person is having sufficient wealth, or a person is having, you can say, a family, and then he is ruling, then his argument is that he is not going to be corrupt, or he is going to make a good rule. Now listen, when I am saying this one, a free man, that does not mean he is not having family. Unlike Plato, Plato was saying they do not have. He is saying that a person who reached over here, he is the one who is holding the family. He is the one who might be holding some business also. But actually by his nature he is changed now. He is done with, okay, with the basic needs, he is done with earning money. So his argument is that a person who is not experienced the basics of the life cannot become a good politician. A person who did not experience wealth and enjoys the wealth cannot become a good one. So once you enjoy and you are above this, then okay, it's something like that. Suppose, just imaginary example, a person who is rich and started participating in social activities, started using your money for the welfare of other, 10 years he did that, now we identify if he is no more stick to his own wealth. He lost the appetite to create more wealth, and now he is the perfect person who goes over there as become a ruler, might help to the people. I am saying, you can say people might fake, there should be a perfect system. I do not deny it might be possible, but as a theoretical format he was trying to say that everyone should not be allowed to vote, everyone should not be allowed to contest, everyone should not be allowed to become the ruler. That is why he criticized the idea of the democracy. What? Yes, complete discrimination of the women by the Aristotle, complete discrimination of the slaves in his theorem, but he is discriminating them not because he is a conservative fundamentalist, want to maintain a status quo. He is just reproducing, and he want that a way should be open for their emancipation. Non? Okay, actually he was more going along with the societal parameter of this time, and he was more worried that the people who oppose it vehemently. I mean, what his argument was, like women are little bit above to the slave basically. So they are only to serve their husbands and their families, because here also he is proposing the idea that slave and women both should under the shadow of the master, and he is instructing the master to deal with their family with the love and care. So again he was worried about that women emancipation, but this emancipation is in format of providing love and care. It is not in terms of being active, participate in that one, and he is more looking into that his idea will be opposed and he won't be able to reach what he is looking forward. So that's why he is considered to be a pragmatic thinker. He is considered to be a pragmatic thinker, and the Aristotle is considered, sorry, Plato is considered to be a complete philosopher. Is considered to be a complete philosopher. आई गेस ये क्लियर है आप लोगों को. चलिए इसको कंटिन्यू करेंगे हम कल. Political science. Now listen, what your work is, do study Aristotelian concept of state, and I'll talk in my next class tomorrow, because it will take, I mean I'll complete tomorrow whatever the rest of the Aristotelian theory is there, then we'll go for examination and compare of both of them. That will be the last class for both. Maybe on Monday it will be the last class for Aristotle and Plato. So tomorrow please read, yes, read it from the yellow book. What I told, read, nothing else, just consider this. one, लेकिन और भी